All right, Mind the Machine on the scene here at CES Day 3. So you know that this book was a lot about accessibility and AI because, hey, doesn't matter your age, our senses are eroding. And as many of you know, I had a total and fundamental hearing loss that was actually restored not only through robotic surgery, but AI-powered hearing aids, and now I hear great. So I'm passionate about accessibility tech because it's not just me, it's huge, the numbers are. So you're going to hear some great insights from leaders and founders who develop and support accessibility tech, and we're going to talk about the future of that. So come with us and watch more about how you can live the best you, thanks to a little bit of AI and some robotics. We're so excited to have partners and sponsors that underwrite the conversation here at Mind the Machine. Primary is Ask Turing AI. You got to check out the website to get the essence of it, but the bottom line is bespoke, industry-specific data is what you really need for your business if you're going to be successful in AI. And Ask Turing, well, all you have to do is ask Turing to find out more. So thank you to AskTuring.ai. Okay, well, so with Mind the Machine, we are in H-Tech Expo. Is that a good way to say this experience here?
Yeah, it's about H-Tech and supporting technologies for the elderly. I'm Ron, I'm co-founder of Tuned. Tuned is an Israeli-based startup that developed an AI platform for self-fitting of hearing aids. Basically what we're doing is we are transforming the way people interact with hearing aids. Instead of doing the traditional way of multi-session with your ENT, audiologist, etc., you can do everything by yourself with our smart app. So it takes about 20 minutes and you get the same clinical outcome, and that's the reason why we are FDA cleared. So I'm an audiologist. I come from a clinical background and I did hearing aid fitting before. And back in 2017, we realized that the FDA is working on these new guidelines for this new category of self-fitting hearing aids. Because of COVID, it took a while, and that was also only finalized and introduced by October 2022. But we had enough head start, so we were rushing to get this developed and the software to get clinically validated. So we will introduce it in the market once the FDA released its guidelines.
Okay, so let's jump into the tech then.
Sure. So this is just one of the versions that we're currently supporting. There are other form factors that we're working on, a newer version. Basically, the idea behind the platform is that we can support different kind of manufacturers. We are not manufacturing the hearing aids. We work with them by supplying them that software level so they can easily go to the market with an FDA cleared and a self-fitting app. So it's very easy for them. And different kind of devices have different kind of specs. We support all of them.
Okay. And so when we think about AI as kind of like a classical definition of automation, when you talk about AI and in your devices, is it modulating sound? I mean, how would we connect what you're doing to kind of like the next wave of technology in AI?
When you do self-fitting, you take the audiologist out of the equation, and then there's the vacuum that was created. We understood that we have to fill that vacuum, and this is our patent technology that we developed called the AI Audiologist. Basically, it's a chatbot that was trained by a group of 3 audiologists to understand the different kind of scenarios and problems new users might encounter in the first few days of weeks of use, and understanding speech. It can actually solve those problems instead of the human audiologist. So it will give them a different kind of solution, but it can also tap into the hardware itself and fine-tune the device exactly the same way an audiologist would have done for you.
So you're doing like every level of AI that can be done to assist in hearing, from the audiologist, virtual audiologist, as it were, to the sound modulation.
Exactly, and the AI also run in the background on the data that we collect from our users to do analytics and understand what problems users might encounter and solve those problems before they become an unsatisfied customers that returns the device.
What's the market size for hearing loss? And there's a lot of factors that calculate into that, from age to hear too much exposure. But what's the total addressable market for hearing loss?
So according to the World Health Organization, there are 430 million people around the globe who need hearing rehabilitation. Only here in the US, we have 48 million Americans who needs hearing rehabilitation. And what's amazing is that only 1 in 7 Americans actually got hearing aids so far. So
That's a kind of an ego, not being realistic about their health status. What drives that?
So definitely there is also a social stigma around that. But the main problem is that traditional hearing aids cost a fortune. They cost $5,000, $6,000. A lot of people can't afford that. And this is the reason why the FDA worked on this OTC new guidelines. And now, like JVC hearing aids that we partnered with are being sold on Amazon for $400, $500. So it's a fraction of the cost and you get the same clinical outcome. And that's really disruptive technology that will change the industry completely.
I'm impressed. I'm amazed.
I think that we need to increase the awareness regarding hearing health in general, because we now know that untreated hearing loss is correlated to other problems. So there are recent research that have found higher tendency to develop Alzheimer, dementia, of course, social isolation, depression, and even tendency to fall. So we need to increase the awareness for people who suffer from hearing loss to go and seek help, either by buying an OTC device through Amazon or going to see their ENT doctor or their audiologist, but do something about it because it's not going to go away.
When you talk to someone and someone says, huh? What'd you say? What's the count of where you go, I think you have a hearing problem?
Yeah, so I'm extremely sensitive to those people because I've been working as an audiologist for the past 15 years. It's very, very common to see those people. Above the age of 65, it's about a third of the population, and above the age of 75, it's about 55% of the population. Now, with lifespan over 75, statistically, you and I will have a hearing loss at some point.
Tuned. I love the name. TUNED. Wonderful. Hey, thanks for your time. Appreciate it. I am so fortunate to be here with Alex, with Xander, who is innovating with these devices. So, Alex, co-founder.
So we are using AR smart glasses as a hearing solution. And what we're talking about here is if we are starting to get hearing loss, mild to moderate hearing loss, we have hearing aids, over-the-counter hearing aids. Our AirPods Pro are now hearing aids. That's fantastic. But as our hearing can get worse, if you've got severe to profound hearing loss, what do? You go to more powerful hearing aids. Those are $6,000, $8,000 hearing aids that are expensive and they don't always work very well. Just the nature of the way we lose hearing, it's very complicated. It's not as easy to correct as vision. So for that kind of condition, if those hearing aids don't help, there's nothing else until Xander glasses.
Until Xander. Okay, so let's talk about this. So my first gut reaction is like, closed captions with AR, VR? Is that what we're thinking?
That's what we're doing.
Okay.
So the idea is if I can't hear what you're saying, our glasses can help me see what you're saying. Put them on. Everything that you say is going into the microphones. We have built-in processors into the glasses that are doing the speech to text and projecting the captions in front of you. So that if I'm looking at you wearing these glasses, everything you say is going to be captioned as if you just came with subtitles.
Oh, and I love it.
That's how it works.
I see this not only for communicating in your native language,
Yes.
but it seems that maybe you could localize to other languages.
You can. There are 26 different languages built in.
Okay, great.
So you can actually do speech to text for any number of languages. I said that we are fully contained on the device, and the glasses also do have a Wi-Fi antenna. So we're just now enabling cloud services so that if you are in a place with good Wi-Fi, you can do translation between languages. So you can speak English and I could read Spanish captions.
Talk to me about how, we've been in this exponential technology growth. So there's been digital twins, IoT, all of these wonderful things. But in the last 2 years, it's really been this focus on generative AI. Is there anything in the generative AI that you think applies to this vertical? Or is it more the digital experience of the AR, VR?
Yeah, that's so generative AI is for our space is being used for, let's say, summarizing. So if I've if I have a whole, ChatGPT can do speech to text after you've talked a lot. But what we're doing here,
Myself.
doing here is like real-time, low-latency speech to text. So it's using an older model of machine learning that predates the generative AI stuff.
It could be that I could totally see this in the future.
In the future, there will be a combination. And so in the future, we'll see a combination of the low latency machine learning, real-time speech to text in combination with how do we bring in more context through generative AI and more sophisticated AI to make the captions more meaningful, to make them more accurate, to add more nuance. Things that we'd love to be able to see and do is, can we detect emotion? Can we detect in the voice and in what we're saying? There are some people where as you lose your hearing, you also lose the ability to detect tone. So sometimes we convey emotion in tone, anger or frustration or happiness. And if I'm just getting flat text, it's hard to detect if that text is happy or sarcastic or whatever. And so just straight speech to text is great, but there's so much more we can do in the future. So I feel like we're at the beginning of this interesting journey of having captioning glasses as a viable solution for people. And it's only going to get more interesting and deeper and more personally useful for people.
And the premise of what we're doing, so findgood.tech is the company. My book is How to Win Friends and Influence Robots. And it really is about using advanced technologies to augment our kind of carbon life form limitations, right?
You know, when smart glasses, when AR first came out, the killer app at the time was Pokemon Go.
Right, yes.
And my co-founder and I were like, really? Like, this is the most advanced technology we've seen in a long time, and it's Pokemon Go?
Yeah,
and
we got to do better.
I was inspired by reading, it was Stephen Hawking's very last book. And in the epilogue, he's saying, look, I am so grateful for companies like Intel and whatever who's given me the technology to communicate. If you're out there and you're an entrepreneur and an innovator, think about people with disabilities. And just the light bulb went off. And we were thinking, okay, how can AR be used for accessibility, for disability? So instead of giving us superhuman powers of like, well, now I can easily find any information in the world, what about applying those same technologies to people who have disabilities, cognitive or vision or oral? This is an area of technology that we can really use to help each other.
And the funny thing is that there are folks that are afraid of these technologies, and this is really the premise of the podcast Mind the Machine. Is really, it's like if we have awareness of our limitations, that takes some self-awareness, then we can really go seek to understand, and then you as an innovator are rising to meet those needs. So this is why I love CES, this is why I love founders. So kudos to you for changing the world. I can't wait to get my hands on those glasses. So how do I get those?
So we've been selling these glasses for about a year now in the US. They are $5,000. Okay. Seems like a steep price point, but our customers just spent $6,000 or $8,000 on a pair of hearing aids. So for them, this is actually a nice, good deal. But it really is for that. It's an accessibility tech for that kind of customer.
Can I try them on?
You can.
Awesome.
If you are a veteran, though, we are nationally approved at the VA. So the VA will buy glasses for veterans who qualify, so veterans can get them for free.
I love it.
Yeah.
So no Pokemon Go going on here. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Mitch, I wish you were inside these glasses because I'm literally reading my own words. Who needs a teleprompter? Alex, you and your co-founder, what's her name?
Marilyn,
you and your co-founder are changing the world. Thanks for taking the time to talk with us. Awesome. All right, I'm here with Nick. We got to get you on camera. We got to get you talking about and showing us what's happening here. So give us the high level, and then we're going to go over and actually experience this. But context here is that we're aging. Our carbon life forms are rapidly deteriorating. How do we stop it? And he's got the solution, so.
At least for the brain part of it, right? So you exercise your body. You know that when you exercise your body, you're rejuvenating it, your heart, your lungs, your muscles, because of all that blood flow. You get a physical response when you do that, and you know that what you're exerting yourself and that it's going to be beneficial for you. There is a corollary to that with the brain. The problem is you don't have the biofeedback that exists when you exercise physically. So our brain sensor changes that entirely. You can exercise your brain and you'll know if a particular activity is beneficial because it's bathing the brain in blood. It's boosting the oxygenation level in the blood. And that is beneficial because that blood essentially rejuvenates the body.
We're addressing the amygdala. What part of the brain are we addressing with the biofeedback?
Prefrontal cortex.
Okay.
You've got two lobes, and I mentioned this earlier, they're the last thing to develop in human beings.
And boys?
Boys under 25.
Boys under 25?
Yeah.
Love you, sons.
And because they have poor judgment, because their prefrontal cortexes are undeveloped, that is the reason they won't rent them cars, and they're just like major risks.
A little bit more impulsive. And then you also said it's the first thing to go, which was very eye-opening. And so about what age do we start to lose that attribute or that?
You're not going to like my answer.
Oh, yeah. Wait, I think you said like 30.
Right. So
This interview is over. No,
yeah. For a lot of us here, our peak years are behind us cognitively, but it doesn't have to stay that way, right? So you can arrest that process and even reverse it.
Arrest the process and reverse the process. Let's arrest and reverse.
Right, so she's going to put that on her forehead above her left eyebrow, making sure that there's no hair in between the sensor and the headband. So it needs to make direct contact with the forehead. You've got two lobes in your prefrontal cortex, left and right. Most people are left-handed. I'm left-handed, so I would put it over my right eye. But the other 90% of the population would put it over their left eye. Then we'll start the app, and the app is here. So if we start out, first we would take your brain age. This is a demonstration, so have no real idea where you're at in terms of brain age. Typically, it moves in tandem with your chronological age. So body and brain mature.
So we can't sense how old my brain is yet.
Not yet.
Right.
Not yet. But actually, we don't need the sensor for that. It's just a battery of tests that test how quickly you can process information. And then after it's done that, you've got a marker in the ground that says, all right, if your brain age is 42 and you want to get it down to 37, what's the regimen that you're going to undertake to do that?
What if I want to be 21?
You could go potentially that far. So we have studies. The interesting thing about doing this is, right, so you do it for 10 minutes a day, 3 days a week. You do that over 90 days for a quarter's worth of time, you can lower your brain age by almost 4 years. We've got studies, peer-reviewed clinical trials, studies that show that people have done it for a year in Japan. They brought their brain age down by a decade. So imagine having a decade off your brain age, right? You may not be able to do it with your body, but we can do it with our brains, which is just fascinating.
I love this analogy with exercise. So,
Yes.
And I feel like you're running and you're putting the time in for your body, and people understand that. They do that.
Yes.
They believe that.
Right. They at least are aware.
They're aware of that. Why then wouldn't we do this?
Yes, exactly. Especially when it's only 10 minutes a day, a couple times a week. Let's say that we have taken your brain age. We'll call it 56 for the sake of argument. We've got really two functions that we can share with you. One is a suite of games that will test things like your memory, your mental speed, your concentration, attention, prediction, inhibition, all the things that deteriorate when the prefrontal cortex deteriorates.
How about concentration?
Concentration, you want to do that one? So there's random number order. What I want to explain is that you want to bring down your mental activity for the first 15 seconds. We're going to give you a countdown to help you do that. And that is going to create a baseline, a marker, that we will measure the change in blood flow to your prefrontal cortex. So whenever you're ready, you can hit play now, and it'll give you a 15-second countdown. And I'll stop talking. Yes, exactly. No bills. Yeah. Don't think about the weekend. Don't think about dinner tonight.
Oh, it's Vegas though. That's fun.
All right. And you can see immediately your prefrontal cortex was immediately activated because the meter jumped up and the colors changed. So you would play this game, it's gonna show you numbers, and then you have to tap them in sequence.
911.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
And then hit enter.
feels like a two-factor
Perfect.
authentication.
Yes. Well, and it forces you, because it grays out the screen, it forces you to use your short-term memory.
I'm having fun.
You only have to do this for 60 seconds, This game is only 60 seconds long. And you can see how the screen color is changing, the bar is growing. That indicates the mental activity that's going on in your prefrontal cortex.
All right. So at any point will it send a flashing light like we're very concerned about
No.
you? Kind of.
It will give you a score in a moment.
Oh, I should probably pay attention.
It will give you a score in a moment. And that score is, unlike a lot of things in life, this is about effort, not achievement.
Oh, there you go.
Right? How often do you get rewarded just for how hard you work as opposed to what you get done?
Pretty much never.
Never. Yeah, pretty much never. Starting with grade school onward. And so this is probably going to give you 50 points. There you go. That's really good. That's really good. Anything over 30 is a great score. It means that your brain was engaged most of the time, and that's rejuvenating. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt it.
And we've got 19 other games, but really what's cool about this is that you don't have to play our games. I will say they were designed by a neuroscientist over the course of 30 years. They actually were launched on the Nintendo platform in Japan, sold 30 million copies on Nintendo Switch. We pair it with the sensor, bring it over to the States, and you can actually do anything you like. So do you have a routine that you like to do for your cognitive?
So like I do like meditation in the morning, gratitude, exercise.
Play Sudoku? Do you do any crossword puzzles?
No, not so much.
Chess or something like that?
I'm a real checkers pro.
Okay, well there you go. There you go. Checkers.
Yes.
You can play checkers.
Checkers.
Yes, exactly. So while you're doing that, you can wear the sensor and it'll show how much your brain is being stimulated or not, depending on the activity, right? If you're folding laundry, probably not going to get a whole lot of activity registered. If you are balancing your checkbook,
right? So
Yeah.
I write a book,
Yeah.
right? We create a podcast, we're always writing. Is that an exercise that can be measured as well?
potentially, yeah, it could potentially be measured, but it may not be the prefrontal cortex that's as active in that. And that's really what we're stressing, right? Language and other parts, physical motion are stored in other parts of the brain, but the prefrontal cortex is really what sets us apart as mature adults from.
So is this why people like pickleball? Like when they say pickleball, it's kind of like that.
It's fast,
Like that?
but it's low impact.
Is it?
Yeah, they like the,
So these are high impact. So
well,
Right,
high
right.
impact
I think
in the
it's
sense physically impact.
So what is it about this? Like when I was doing the numbers and I was guessing, I literally felt like, okay, this is motivation.
Yeah.
Is that the thing you want to get that elicit that emotion in the consumer? So that's what you're measuring.
That's a byproduct. That's part of the stickiness of using the product. People do that; they get a sense of exhilaration and accomplishment, right? But really, what you want to do. So if you feel great while you're going for a jog or for a walk, that's great. But that's not the reason you're probably doing it, right? You want the therapeutic benefit.
So this system can also be used for stress reduction by measuring the different part of the brain, which is called default mode network. So if you can slightly move the sensor into your central part, you can use this brain meter and try to reduce your brain activity. That's a good meditation status.
So with this countdown,
To relax.
just relax, bring your brain activity down, and now you can see that you've got.
Yeah. Low brain activity is good.
You want low brain.
Keep it low.
Could I
Stay
use
calm.
this like as a dating measure? Put it on a guy and go, no, he's kind of a low brain activity. I don't
What Kota had said is that you want to lower your brain activity because you're looking for mindfulness and meditation, right? So if you start thinking about, don't think about your checkbook, don't think about bills that you have to pay, think about your pet, your favorite pet.
And so this is active, real time.
Yeah, it's real time. Multiple times a second, we take a measurement and we use infrared technology. So infrared technology is something that's been around for a long, long time. We use it in our remote controls. This is just a specialized version of that.
Okay, so I just started thinking about my flight.
There you go. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Right? Now think about, do you have a dog or a cat?
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And so that sensor is it measuring vibration? Or what's the mechanism that
Blood flow. Oxygenation, specifically oxygen levels in your blood. So the first 15 seconds when we did the countdown, we wanted to get a low baseline of activity so that we could then measure the change and how that fluctuates from moment to moment.
amazing? So it's available now.
Yep, you can buy it off our website. You can buy it off Amazon. Right now we're selling it, normally it's $250 for the sensor, and that's good for the whole household, and then you want an account for each user. That's either $9 a month or $99 a year. But right now, if you buy the sensor on Amazon, we're giving you a full year for free. So $250 Done deal until 2026.
I feel smarter already. Okay, well, my mind is blown just thinking about that. And I lived it the first time, but watching it and hearing it the second time has been amazing. So I hope you found value in that. Find the Machine aims to bring you more content like this. If there's something that you want to hear or someone you want to talk to in robotics or cognitive, let us know here at Mind the Machine. And thanks for watching the show.